All right, so let's go ahead and get started, Erin. We'll just introduce ourselves really quickly. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicolette Weston. I am the Transfer and Admissions Program Administrator with the American Indian College Fund. I am Oglala Lakota. I did graduate from my tribal college, Oglala Lakota College, with my bachelor's degree in social work. And we have today with us Erin Redshirt. So Erin, if you want to give an introduction.
Hi, thank you, Nicolette. My name is Erin Redshirt. I'm Sakanju and Oglala Lakota from my dad's side. I am the program assistant for college access and success within the College Fund within our Student Success Services program. So I kind of provide wraparound support for a lot of the programming that we do here at the College Fund. I graduated in 2020 with my bachelor's of psychology and minored in Native American studies. I got my degree from Metropolitan State University at Denver. Before that, I was a transfer student from Community College at Denver, where I graduated with my associate's degree in psychology as well. That campus was pretty unique, that there was 3 schools on one campus. So I am based in Denver, Colorado. That is actually where the College Fund is located, their home office. Yeah, so I'm excited to be on with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin, for joining us. So I'll just be asking you some questions that we can share with other transfer students who are on today. We do understand it is May. A lot of you are graduating or looking to graduate. You might have already graduated, and you're just transferring, from your tribal college, your community college, onto another college. So we'll just kind of briefly go over some steps and some preparation, to help you with that transfer process. So I'll just go ahead and get started. Erin, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Thinking back when you were talking about when you were attending college, that community college, like about what point in time in your college career, or even before that, did you start considering transferring into a 4-year or mainstream university?
Yeah, so I think my situation is pretty peculiar just because of where I went to school and where I was located. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. So one of the big things for me about choosing community college at Denver was that it was affordable. I grew up with just my mom working, so I couldn't really afford to go to school on my own. And so I worked to afford my tuition at the community college. And when I went there, I almost immediately, after my first year, definitely, I was just trying to figure out how to do college in the first place, how to actually attend my classes, take notes, get ahead of myself in terms of doing my assignments earlier, preparing for exams, and all those things that come with learning how to be a good college student. So after my first year, I actually started working at the community college under a work-study program. So that was really nice because it introduced me to a lot of resources at the school that I was able to use that I didn't know about in my first year, because my first year was it felt very quick, and I would just go to campus when I had classes and then leave right after. But working on the campus, I got to meet a lot of staff and faculty and learn about resources that were available to me. So I would say that in the beginning of my second year was when I really started taking my transfer more seriously. I think in the beginning, I just assumed that I was going to get my associate's degree and just graduate with that. But after completing my first year and starting to be surrounded with other students who were transferring to bigger and larger universities, I kind of got excited and started talking to my counselor more about my option. And because our school was so unique that it was situated on one campus with 2 other universities, there was already like transfer agreements and transfer pathways that were in place to help me prepare for my transfer. And so my counselor actually helped me, introduced me to a transfer booklet that one of the universities offered to the community college students. And so we reviewed it, and it pretty much told me all of the credits that I would need to transfer into a bachelor's program at that university. So my first steps really began with kind of making those connections on campus, especially with my counselor, and then looking at what options were available for me from the university that I wanted to transfer to.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us, Erin. I think you may have already answered this next question that I was, that I have, just thinking back to that time when you were considering that transfer, and during your transfer process, what were some helpful action steps that you did that helped you to transfer, that may have helped make you feel like, that was smooth, or, it made it a lot easier for you to transfer?
Mhm. I think one of the things that I had mentioned earlier that really made an impact on my undergraduate and my transfer process was taking the opportunity of taking that work study offer that I got from my financial aid. I think that really helped me push to learn more about my university. And I know that a lot of people, already have jobs already or are working on the side of school, but I always advocate for if you qualify for work study, then really consider taking it, because the doors it can open in terms of who you speak to can really impact what steps you take next. And I met a lot of staff members and counselors who knew people at the university that I wanted to transfer to, and so they already had those connections there in place to make it feel like a comfortable discussion, because transferring to a new school was definitely, the thought of it was very scary, just because the community college was so small, and the community college that I went to was very diverse. There were a lot of low income and Black and brown students in the population, and going to the university was a bit of a shift from that. But knowing that I had, counselors and staff members who knew where I was going, it kind of helped ease that anxiety that I had, because they further encouraged me to take time outside of meeting with them to actually look into the school that I was transferring to. They would have me go home. Some of my counselors would have me go home and kind of just review the website of the university that I was transferring to, review that booklet, and then also looking at the school's resources. So that way I knew that the resources that I had set up at the community college were somehow replicated at the university level. So that way I kind of knew a little bit about the grounds that I was taking. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Erin. Looks like we have some more participants that have hopped on. If you guys can all just put your names and the college that you are currently representing in the chat box. And if you are transferring this semester, you can put that in the chat box as well. And then also at the end of the webinar, we will share a couple of promotion campaigns we are doing as well. So on to the next question, Erin. Along the lines with the last question that I just asked, what were some steps that you wish you could have taken that was included in your transfer process? Something that maybe may have helped you feel more prepared, or you wish that you could go back and, I wish I would have implemented that into my process, and that would have been a lot more helpful to me. Was there anything at all you can think of?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I wish I would have done was probably visited the university that I was going to transfer to before doing so. I think the only initial steps that I took was really researching it online. And I knew about the school because, that campus is the campus that I went to had 3 schools on it, a community college and 2 other universities. So I knew the name of the university and I knew that there were students around me who were going to that university, but it's different actually going into the building, seeing where admissions is, seeing where the resources are located. I wish I would have spoken to somebody there initially before transferring my credits, which I know most people do, but I feel like they really try to make the transfer process very easy and quick sometimes, but really taking the time to make sure that you're comfortable there. And so setting up a tour or just talking to a recruiter beforehand, I think would be very beneficial. Something else that I wish I would have considered beforehand was after I had already transferred to the university, I had taken a full-time job at a TRIO program at the community college that I attended before. So it's a little bit confusing, but working at that TRIO program, it was my first introduction to TRIO programs, which are government funded from the Department of Ed. They're usually at different community college and universities. They're kind of speckled across the nation, and they're really focused on providing student support services. And so sometimes they have different branches of what they offer. But when I worked at the community college, I was seeing how much this resource was helping the community college students that, I used to go to class with. And I think what I should have done was applied for TRIO at the university that I went to. I wish I would have known more about my school's TRIO or my university's TRIO program, because they really do provide hands-on wraparound support, which I think is necessary, at least for myself, someone who has had social anxiety in the past. Sometimes it's hard talking to new people about your situation. And so being able to apply to a TRIO program and just having one designated counselor who can help you with financial aid, scholarships, study resources, tutoring, all that stuff, I think that would have greatly impacted how much I enjoyed the last 2 years of getting my undergraduate from a university. But I will always be the biggest advocate for TRIO. I think that they're a wonderful and great program. And if you're considering transferring right now, I would consider looking to see if your university has a TRIO program in the first place, see what those application processes are like and what the eligibility requirements are. Most of them are just that you have to be low income first generation student. And I know that a lot of our students, identify as that. And so having that as a resource was just, it would have greatly impacted how I viewed the last 2 years. And so I highly suggest looking into that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. I guess one of the other questions I would ask too, and this was kind of just off the wall question, I guess, how important do you think like your Lakota culture or your culture identity, did any of that at all? Like, do you wish it played a part in your college experience or the transfer process, or was it, something that wasn't too big of a like importance to you? Like, how important was it to you?
Yeah, it was very important to me when I first went, but I think I was very discouraged when I first got on to my campus straight after graduating high school. I think that it was a little bit of a culture shock because I grew up having a Native American student support program all throughout high school, middle school, elementary school. It was a part of the public school system that I went to. And going on this campus, you don't get involved in that unless you actively seek it out. And in the beginning, it was very lonesome because they didn't have a big population at the school that I went to. Native Americans, they had the smallest percentage at the school that I went to. And so it was it was definitely a lonesome experience in the beginning. Once I got into TRIO program, I actually started being introduced to a lot of other cultures as well. So that was great. But it wasn't until I transferred to the university that I tried to make more of an impact with my Lakota heritage and what it meant to be a Native student on the campus, because the university that I went to, they had probably the smallest Native American Studies program that you can think of. I believe that there was literally only 2 teachers in the program, and they taught everything. They taught Native American Studies 101, they taught Native American politics, history, all that. So they were doing everything. And so it kind of felt like it was a small community on my campus. But it was great because at the end of the school year, we got to do a celebration for our Native American students, and we got to do a ceremony, and they actually included graduates from the other university. So it was kind of like a joint ceremony that we got to have that really encapsulated and made us proud of what we accomplished and for our people. So it was really nice, but it was definitely a different experience considering my background was in mainstream institutions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important for our students to hear, from somebody else who has already graduated and, is now in the career fields. Do you have anything else? Like, is there any other types of advice or information that you would like to share with our students who might be preparing to transfer college, or maybe you guys are just, just now thinking about college transfer, anything that you'd like to share with them?
Yeah. So at my time here at the College Fund, I've been blessed to learn more and more about tribal colleges and universities, and it's been really awesome to learn about how many are in the United States and how many of them are so different from each other because of the culture that they hold and that they encapsulate. And so for those students who you might be thinking about transferring to TCU, that's great because their whole foundation is being built around the culture and preserving that the knowledge and culture of their people. And so it's great that they have that there because you get to see teachers that are reflected in you, or you reflected in your teachers, and you get to be around the language and the culture. My advice would be for students who might be transferring to mainstream colleges, because I know that my mainstream college, the Native American population was a little bit slimmer than most, but I know that there are mainstream universities across the nation that have like a cultural support program, a cultural student support program, or multicultural student support program, or some of them might even have like a specific Native American student support program. And so I would highly encourage researching that in your beginning steps of your transfer process, because that will probably be the source of where you'll find most of your support and where you'll feel most comfortable and safe. So I think that would be my number one advice, is just to look at what resources there are for you, so that way you don't have to face anything like feeling lonely or feeling crowded in a sea of people who aren't Native as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And with Erin expressing that about, feeling lonely and, these other types of things that we overlook sometimes as college students, is taking care of ourselves. So we do have a checklist that we always like to go through to make sure, just kind of give our students a little bit of a reminder of, taking care of yourselves. And are you making sure that you are also focusing on, your own health and wellness? So I just like to go over the checklist as you guys are wrapping up with your graduation, or you might be, of course, everybody's in finals week, or you may have already completed finals week. Just take this moment in time to make sure you are also taking care of you. Make sure you are eating and snacking healthy. Remember, everything we put in our bodies helps us, set the tone for the day and, for a lifetime. So if we're eating hot chips and Takis, we're not going to feel so good studying. Maybe it might be a cheat day snack, but it's not an everyday snack. So make sure we're also eating healthy, putting good, healthy foods into our bodies, finding those resources in your community or on your campus. When you're thinking of transfer, Make sure that your campus that you're transferring to, make sure you are locating all of your resources that are going to ultimately help you. Just like Erin shared with us today, you know, a lot of things that she had to find to help her, to support her, to get through that transferring from one college to the next, and then finishing that degree. The other one is expressing gratitude daily. That's a huge one, because a lot of times we don't, you know, give thanks just for the little things. You know, you woke up today with a roof over your head, clean water to drink, things like that. Make sure we're expressing gratitude to Unchimaka, Mother Earth, you know, for giving us these resources. Exercising regularly doesn't mean you have to do HIIT workouts, or lift, you know, 350 pounds a day, but make sure you're just grounding yourself, going for a walk. And last but not least, getting plenty of good quality sleep. I know that's probably hard in this day and age, especially as college students, but just make sure you're finding time to get enough sleep, because our bodies do need to rest. That's what, you know, the nighttime is for. We're resting our bodies, we're resting our minds. That way we're feeling refreshed for the next day. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions? If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box, and we'll answer a couple of your questions. If you have any, if you are thinking of anything to ask us. And while you're thinking, I will also go over, we do have a campaign going right now. This is our gift raffle. So if you are transferring, if you did, you know, graduate, if you are graduating, you can make sure, I don't know, we'll send everyone actually an updated newsletter for this. But you can email me at nweston@collegefund.org with your name, a graduation photo of yourself, your current tribal college, and the mainstream or tribal college you are transferring to and the degree you are seeking. That gives you a chance to enter our gift raffle, and that is running up until June 2nd, I believe. And we are giving away some really cool prizes, $100 gift card, some wireless earbuds, and some college fund swag. So make sure you are also joining that campaign with us as well. And it looks like we have a couple of questions here. It looks like, can you read those, Erin, or?
Yeah, I think the first one asks about colleges that have 100% or 100 credit transferability.
Yeah, this may have been answered, but tell me the colleges that is still a nationwide work in progress. A lot of mainstream and community colleges and tribal colleges are working on trying to, you know, figure out how they can transfer credits, not only transfer credits, but get your credits applied to your next degree, to the mainstream university that you are currently wanting to transfer to. I think the biggest thing you can do for yourself here is to make sure that you're meeting also with your counselor and the university you are transferring to ahead of time, to make sure you guys are somehow working something out where your credit, you know what classes to take and you know what credits can apply. I want to say apply because there's a difference between they can transfer, like your credits can transfer, but it's after they do the audit, they'll pick which ones will apply to your degree. So make sure you're meeting with your counselor, and just know that is something across the United States. I think West Virginia was one state that had, you know, 100% credit transferability because their community colleges were directly connected to their mainstream university, and, you know, through their legislation, they were able to get it to where they actually have that transfer pathways for their students right when they start at the community college. That's the only one I know of. So far, I know Montana has a lot of their universities working closely with their tribal colleges now. So it's just a matter of advocating for yourself, making sure you're talking to your counselor and talking to that mainstream university ahead of time to make sure you know what credits you are getting applied to your degree. Do you have anything else to add on to that one, Erin?
No, I think that was good. But that was like one of the main things that also helped me in college was having access to what was called my degree works, my degree worksheet, which just laid out all of my credits that I needed to take to graduate from my program. And a lot of them in there said whether or not they were a guaranteed transfer course. And so I guess it's just, yeah, if you're not speaking with a counselor, just making sure that you know the classes that you're registering for and you're making sure that they're a guaranteed transfer course.
Yes, for sure. Do you have any advice to students thinking of transferring to a university in California? I guess that would depend on where you're transferring from. If you're transferring from a tribal college, then that should be, something, of course, like Erin shared earlier, planning a college visit. A lot of universities, a lot of colleges now have the online. So you can do a virtual tour even and get in contact with that university. And a lot of universities are able to assist you with a lot of information before you transfer. But if you're transferring from tribal college or from your current, place you're at now, maybe you're coming from the reservation, just make sure that you have all of those supports in place surrounding you to make sure that when you transfer, you feel very supported. You don't have that feeling of feeling alone, and you feel good about it when you get there. Of course, I'm sure anybody would feel really good about living in California. Shannon, the campaign, the gift raffle prize drawing, we're closing that June 2nd. So you still have until June 2nd to submit your information. And I think that's it on all the questions there. If we don't have any more questions, I hope we were able to answer your questions. I hope you were able to get a lot of information out of today's webinar. And if you have any further questions or anything else, can follow us at collegefund.org. We always have, or sign up for our newsletter because we always have a lot of great webinars that come up. Jason's okay, so I will email everybody. You can follow us on, if you guys are on social media, follow us at Native Pathways on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and our campaign is there on social media as well with all the information that you need. If not, I will be emailing everybody as a follow-up after this webinar too. Okay, Jordan, lighting the pathway. I haven't seen that one. Was that done through the college funds? Thank you, Jason. It could have been a previous programming that took place before, but no, we no longer do lighting the pathway with the American Indian College Funds. We do have the transfer resources though, so you can follow us at collegefund.org. You can go to Native Pathways on that website and go to students, and we have a ton of resources through there. Yes, that would be ACES. No worries, Jordan. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And that was a nice, good session. We didn't take up too much of your time, but we had a lot of information involved in there as well. So thank you all for joining us. Check your emails. We will be updating, doing a follow-up, especially for the prizes, and then for the gift raffle for the campaign, for the transfer campaign. And make sure you follow us on social media as well, at Native Pathways on all social media handles. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your week.